Good afternoon. I'm fine, thanks, Will.
In terms of, we talked yesterday with Ashley Westwood. He said that he kind of credits the recent success of the team to the effectiveness of your high press. How have you guys formulated that over the course of the last couple of games, and what's made it so effective for you as a way of not only defending but creating more chances?
It is something that we try to work all season, really, through trial and error. And so we decided that as a team we wanted to be aggressive. As I told you many times, I have been always upfront and open with you guys, that we wanted to play an aggressive football with the ball and without the ball. Because I don't think that without that you can never control the game. You control the game with the ball only partially, but you also control it when you don't have the ball. And so we tried to improve. I still work in progress. Again, as I said, is far from perfect. But I have a group of players here that they are willing to try. They also share my philosophy of being a team that want to be active, always with the ball. And without the ball, we don't want to be passive against anybody. And as I said to you, it takes a lot of courage to play like that. Because when you play against the best players in the world, like it happens in the last 2 games, and you go away from home to try that, you can always be, if you don't get it right, you can be open. And then it looks very bad when you concede a big open counter-attack. But that can happen. But our boys, they know that that's part of the risk, and I credit them to be open, to try, and then we have been, I think we implemented in a way that they understand it. For me, the most important thing is that I make it easy for them to understand, because they are the one that goes onto the pitch and do it. So I give a lot of credit to this group of players, to how they have improved throughout the season.
I know you mostly focus on yourself, not necessarily the opposition, but New York, very physical. They love to win the ball in the air, and they obviously have their own high press that they're happy about. How do you feel like the two styles mimic, mirror, and obviously clash with each other, as you have had a lot of familiarity with this particular opponent over the last 2 years?
Yeah. The fact that we are always focused on ourselves doesn't mean that we don't take the opposition in consideration. We actually do a lot. But we don't want to lose our identity for the opposition. That I keep repeating as a mantra, because it's very many times I've been asked the same. I know you don't take into consideration. No, I do. But I put us at the center of our world, And then after, in order not to change our identity, we need to change something, maybe because we take into consideration the opponents. Red Bull has been always at the center of the rivalry since I came into MLS. With New York City, we were a new franchise. I arrived with Patrick the year after, actually. And Red Bull were already a very established club with many good players, maybe the best player in the league at the time, with a very good coach, very good style of play, very, very good players. And it was difficult. Our first encounters, they were pretty tough. Then after we learned how to play against each other, and they kept that philosophy, which I credit them for, very aggressive without the ball. In certain things, we are similar. In certain things, we are different. That's the beauty of football. And we know that we have to be ready to a strong game, and we want to give them a strong game.
And lastly, for me, I know it can be pretty easy. I know that you have a motivated side, and they want to try and go beyond this and use this as a building block. But how do you prevent just, being content with, a playoff berth, and then you go in? How do you make sure you keep that edge going into this game and make sure that, hey, this maybe could be the start of a deep run?
Yeah, we frame that, and ultimately it's up to each individual player to give their best. and to bring the best version of themselves. I believe that there is that we can, we can fight to go as far as we can. I think that this group of players can do that. We know that it's going to be difficult, and that's already been the playoff for me. Is very good for the club, because before doing things before you can believe, you have to see things. You have to have done things. So you know how it looks like, you know how it feels like. So we have done that part. But obviously now it starts a completely different league for us, and we want to give our best shot in that. I saw a group today that is motivated, that he lives well together, that they are ready to give a fight, and we are ready to give our best for our supporters, for the club, for everybody that is involved with us.
Thank you. Good luck. Safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you, Will.
All right, Carol Walton.
Hey, Christian, how are you?
I'm fine, Carol. Thank you.
Good. I guess New York has a lot of experience in this position. Do you think that gives them an advantage, or do you feel confident with all the veterans you have on your team who've played at high levels, maybe elsewhere?
I think that they have, as a club, when you have experience in certain situations, it shows. That's why at the highest level, for example, in our sport, where I know more than other sports, obviously, you have certain clubs that they reach, even when they have a season that, is not satisfactory for their own standards, they systematically they reach the highest, the final stages of big competition. I'm referring to the Real Madrid, to the Bayern Munich, to this kind of the Barcelona, and they normally go very far because as a club there is no substitute for history. You can smell it, you can breathe, you can feel it when you go in these places, that they know how to play certain occasions. So obviously this also applies to Red Bull, and that's why I thought it was important for us to be part of that, to be part of the playoff, and to start to breathe and smell that, because we have veterans in this league, in Justin Meram, in Harrison Afful, for example, that they are used to that, but all the veterans, they are not used to the atmosphere of the playoff in this country. So the Scott Arfield, the Ashley Westwood, so it's gonna, or even Kalina. So it's different also for us, but in the end, it's a game of football, and we have to be focused on that. And we have to think that football is at the heart of everything, and we need to be ready to play football the way we prepare the game.
It seems like even though it's only been 2 years, you guys already have a pretty good rivalry with them. Maybe it's just physicality of the games. And I wonder, do you want your guys to play like they always do, or do you go in kind of, hey, don't get caught up in what they're baiting you into doing, drawing yellow cards and all that?
Yeah, I think it feels like we have a rivalry against everybody now, but which is good. That's why it's important we build a good mentality, I think for me it's very important to play with our style, to look for our style, and to be confident about what we want to do on the pitch. Because the game will go exactly how you describe it. Every game is about I see it as arm wrestling. One team try to bring it to our style, the opposition will try to bring to their own style, and ultimately this is a battle that you need to fight to have the right to play the football that you want to play. And so if we get caught in play the game that they want to play, we give ourselves a tougher situation and a tougher game. And so we have to align the head with the heart. This is for me very important, because the courage, the heart, we have shown it many times. what we have been lacking, in my opinion, at times, but that's normal, it takes time, is to align the head with that, to be really in control when it matters. And for me, the most complete game in that sense, we have done it in the last game against Miami, because take nothing away from them, I thought that they were a pretty strong team. And our boys did a great job to limit the ability of the opposition. And I thought that we played with a lot of head, because if we didn't do that, they have players that can kill you with that. And so we need to improve on that. Now that we found also this level, we found another step, we need to keep building. And this is my message from day one. We need to keep building, but knowing that it takes time.
One last one. Adilson Malanda in Miami, obviously it just wasn't himself. To turn around from that to the game he had against Miami, did you see him, was that something he did internally and just took care of himself, or did you guys try and help him, figure out, look at film or whatever, talk to him about it?
A bit of everything, but I don't agree with that. There are all cliché in our sport when you say he wasn't himself. He was himself. He's a young player that is entitled to have a game in which he's not at his best. He has been magnificent for us. In my opinion, going even more that we thought he could have achieved. So I think he was himself. Part of him and part of us, of our job, is to understand that these are young players, they are not robots, that they can have an off day. Even Messi can have an off 10 minutes. And we are talking about a guy that for me, after I saw him again, for me, he's still the best players in the world, full stop. But when we say he wasn't himself, because I heard that from many people, I think that is not true. And we never can improve players if we think that, no, he's himself, but we show video, we spoke with him, and he also is entitled to have at times. And also us as a club. That's why I didn't like that we get framed as a team that conceded the late lead, and because we just put negativity onto a team that is growing, and that, okay, sometimes it can happen, and maybe by accident it happened that we conceded late on a number of occasions. Sometimes you try to understand why, and you are not entirely sure. But it's part of the process, it's part of growing up. And we need to allow these guys time, individually and collectively. I think that they're doing a good job. They are making a lot of people proud.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Steve Goldberg.
Hi, Christian. Going back to what Will was saying about the high press, I was listening to CBS's Lattanzio show the other day, and they were giving Charlotte some love and things like that. But they
Good.
described you as a defensive coach, which just made me smile because I haven't seen that part, even if you are Italian. But do you look at the high press as even though when the team doesn't have, I see the high press more as an offensive attitude than a defensive one, because you're immediately trying to win the ball back and create the offense. As soon as you're dispossessed, you're trying to repossess with that. So do you see it also that way, or how do you?
I think, yeah, Steve, I think that the two sides of the game, the attacking and the defensive part, are very interlinked. They are the two sides of the same coin. So to be defined as a defensive coach, I can tell you that it makes me very proud. It makes me, first of all, because of my heritage, but I believe that nowadays, defensive, it means exactly what you described, to be a very good defensive coach today, and I don't think I am. For me, the best defensive coach in the world, for me, is Guardiola, and I see Man City, they've been exceptional at defending high. For me, it's very difficult. And I admire greatly the teams that they are really good at that. That's why we wanted to introduce this style, because if you want to control the game, if you want to be also very offensive, you need to have that weapon. So the fact that we are doing it with a certain continuity now, it makes me very, very pleased and proud But again, I give credit to the boys because I can talk as much as I want. It's up to them to do it on the pitch. And in the last game, the defensive players, the midfielders, the wingers, the front players, they played an important role. But football is moving in this direction now. If you want to be gone are the days where you can only play with the ball. Everybody has to work really hard. You just have to see today Champions League and you will see that everybody will work very hard. The best strikers in the world, the best attacking players in the world, they have to put as much effort when they have the ball, the same way that when they don't have the ball.
And going back to what Carol said about the games with New York being contentious at best. Sometimes there are games where you need shin guards on the back of your legs with that. And getting baited, where I asked Ashley yesterday about taking that yellow card so early in the match, because Ashley's always going to be in the mix and get stuck in on things. Did you? He said he saw the counter, he was trying to stop it quickly, which sometimes you just have to do. But I mean, from your position on the side, you think that was something that was necessary at that point?
Absolutely, absolutely necessary. The one thing that you don't want, first of all, I want to talk about Ash because Ash is a very competitive guy, but he will be in the mix, but he knows how to do it. And I think that the referee, I hope that they can see that he's a guy that is competitive, is never nasty, is competitive, is fair. And I think that he has never injured anybody. He always go to try to win the ball. He will make a foul like everybody does, like every midfielder. But I want to highlight that part because Ashley is a guy that is very fair with his play. Also the way that he wanted to stop the counter-attack, it was just to stop the guy, not to injure the guy. He was holding him, not to try to kick him. It was necessary because it was very early in the game and we were going and they had an open counter-attack. When they have players like Messi that can attack you, the last thing you wanted in that game is to go 1-0 down early. And so I thought that if we stayed in contention until late, we have a chance to win the game. We had to. And in my opinion, it is something that it was absolutely necessary. Now, can we avoid to be ourselves in this position? Absolutely. But not always that can happen, and I thought it was absolutely necessary to do what he did.
And in the Miami game, stopping Messi is one thing, but also stopping those around him, perhaps more important. I thought the team did a very good job keeping Busquets from being influential in the match. Is that something you had schemed about?
Yeah. It's important because for me, they have many players that they are dangerous. Gregor is a very good player. Gomez the same. Cremaschi, we know. Campana. So they have many players inside. And one of the most dangerous of all is Jordi Alba, in my opinion. When he arrives on the left, his experience to find the right ball and the right pass is second to none still now. But we wanted to condense the space in the middle. It was important for us to make it as difficult as possible. Then you cannot prevent these guys to do their own things always because it simply is impossible. But we face a team that, for me, is also quite good and dangerous at that because they have players like Luquinhas, like Amaya, like Fernandez, that they are really good on the ball, plus two strikers that they are competitive in Barlow, in the Brazilian guy, and then also the other midfielder that they have that is very competitive, whether they play Edelman or Yearwood. So we play against a team that I give them a lot of respect, the way they play. They played a strong second half against us at home, which a lot of people thought that we throw away the points, but we didn't have at the time a lot of answers in stopping them. We couldn't press them well at the time. And they took advantage by using the space that we gave them with the players that they are very, very good on the ball. So we have to be a we have to have the same focus and the same intensity that we had against Miami.
I'm glad Miami could be a good training partner for New York.
Okay, crepi lupo, as they say.
All right, Kenneth Lee.
Hey, Christian, how are you?
Hey, Kenneth, thank you. I'm fine.
So obviously you guys played the Leagues Cup. You guys had a really great run in that cup. You know, how does playing in that environment translate to the MLS Cup and the team?
Everything helps, Kenneth. Everything helps. I agree with you. I think we were discussing that today as a staff. That we have been playing. We had a good run. I wouldn't say a great run. We had a good run. Great run would have been to go until the end, but I take it. It was a good run, I thought, and it was at a good time for us as a club, and because it gave confidence to our boys. And we played a lot of those games away from home. So, and we came back against Dallas, we came back against Houston, we fought against the Mexican teams, and I believe that Cruz Azul, Necaxa, so we had a good run, I agree with you, and that helps. That helps because it helps to understand the difficulties that you can have in a knockout game. It helps to, even though it's different in many ways, but it's also similar in other ways. So I think that the experience can help us.
Awesome. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, John Lupo, last one.
Good afternoon, Christian. How are you?
Good afternoon, John. I'm fine, thank you.
First of all, congratulations on leading this team to their first ever playoff berth.
Thank you.
Sort of to piggyback on what Kenneth said about the Leagues Cup, it seems like after you returned to league play, after that competition was over for you guys, that's when you went on this really good run of form. And for me, it seems like the win against LAFC is what started this whole turnaround and this surge. If you could look back on it, do you feel like that match in Charlotte against the defending champions, do you feel like that was the key that started to turn your form around?
I think so. I would name that game. I did it already in the press, that as almost like the game one of us, I don't know, like 2.0. Because, and that's I give credit to the boys, because we decided, that's why I said it was a good run, because we did well, and we saw glimpses of to be aggressive without the ball, but we were not perfect. And I think against Miami, in the last game of our Leagues Cup, despite, as I said, on other occasions, I didn't think that the result was reflected the game, but at the same time, I always thought that Miami had control of the game more than us. So I didn't have any complaint about the result, I had a complaint about the scoreline. And I didn't like that because I thought that we could be more aggressive than that, and we decided to change with the boys. And it was not a foregone conclusion, because we came from some successful games away from home, and the boys accepted the challenge to change and to try to go to the next level. And so that game, I think it was important for us to get the belief, because it was against the reigning champions that they brought like a complete team. They played with a strong team. And they came from a game, I don't remember who they played the week before, but I remember that they won 4 or 5, and they were in completely control of the game, and they brought more or less the same team over, and we made it more difficult for them. So that gave us the belief that that there was a lot of growth in us still.
Status report for tomorrow, specifically Ben and Carroll, what is it looking like for them?
What did you say, Ben Bender and Carroll?
Yes.
Yeah, Ben Bender, I think, is going an operation today.
Okay.
So he will be out of the squad, obviously. Carroll is fine.
That's good. Finally, there are very style of play that they also like to have a lot of the ball. They press high. They like to play out wide. Is there any one specific area that you could pinpoint that you may want to attack and break down? That'll be the key in order to not have them be as successful as you would want them to be.
If there is, I will not say it here.
I understand.
For obvious reasons. But of course, we know the strength. We know also that, like every other team, they also have weaknesses. I think they've done a good job. This coach has done a good job since he took over to get many points and to qualify them to the playoff. So I know that they will come also with confidence. They have the style that they have throughout the football group. We have to know that we play against a team that belongs to one of the strongest football groups in the world. They have a very tried and tested identity in Austria, in Germany, in Brazil, here. And so this is what we want to have as well. We have our own identity, and they will play strong, but we are ready to play a strong game too.
One final quick one. Just the team obviously is very excited for this first playoff game in club history. Do you have to temper their excitement? Do they know? Obviously, you want to be playing with high energy, but to just sort of tamp it down and focus on the job at hand, or maybe some of the veterans like Ashley, who've been around for a long time in high pressure situations, maybe he can take care of that. How do you maintain that sense of aggression and discipline, but also to keep that excitement level where it needs to be for an occasion like this?
It's a football game, John, and I think that sometimes we hype too much those things. I think it's all the occasions. I think it's it's an important game, but in the end, for me, we have this philosophy at the club that every game is very important. Every game matters. Every game is important because it's an opportunity for growing. It's an opportunity to become better. So for us, it's we treat every game really, really seriously. Even if we have to play an in-house 11v11, I want them to give the best. When we do that, we invite the referees. We play with the shirts. It's not just like put the bibs on and just play. It's we take every game very seriously. So I hope that they understand that. Obviously, having veterans like the one you mentioned, but also the one I mentioned before in MLS, helps. But if you align your head with the heart, I think that the balance comes on its own. We need to have both. We need to have bravery. We need to be courageous, but we also need to understand what our game, and we need to play our game. This is, for me, the most important thing.
Great. Good luck, Christian.
Thank you, John.
Okay, guys. I'd like to get everyone, but we are nearly out of time. We have a flight to catch. So let's go quickly. Let's go Sam and then Carol. Quick ones. I saw your guys' hands first, and we'll see.
Thank you, Coach. Since our friend isn't here to ask the question, I'm going to ask you the movie question today, Coach. If this season was any movie, what would it be?
Oof. Very good question. I don't know, I want to say a movie that give us Rocky. Rocky, because we have been hit many times, but we never gave up, and we are relentless, and we come back up every time. And we have been hit in many different ways, in many different times, but the boys always were very resilient. So this is the movie that I like to. The lesson there is that we are ready to stand up whatever happens to us.
And finally, for me, so, the atmosphere at the bank Saturday night reminded me I know we don't like comparisons to Real Madrid, but it really felt like a Real Madrid Champions League game. The energy again in Fort Lauderdale for the first Miami game, very low. At least last year when we were in Harrison for the final game of the season, the atmosphere at Red Bulls was very low. How do you think the squad's going to keep the energy up given that where we're playing is not like the bank and it's not the same energy for this first match.
Listen, I totally agree. I think the atmosphere was amazing, and part of the success, part of our success has to be that we feel comfortable to play in front of that many people, that many fans, and then obviously everybody knows that many people came to see Messi, and rightly so. Rightly so. Everybody, when you see and see basketball, and you know that LeBron is playing or whatever, I think it happens in other sport. The top players in the world, they always attract attention, and it should be like that because they are the best of the best. So everybody wants to see them. But at the same time, also by coming and seeing our club, and seeing our team playing, also they can fall in love with the style that we try to have in this football club. So I think the bank is one of the best atmosphere that I've seen. I totally agree with you. I said it many times. I repeat it. And one of the reasons we want to go as far as possible because we want to play again in front of our supporters. We want to sample that atmosphere again.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Quickly, final one with Carol.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just want to follow up on Bender. You mentioned you had knee surgery today. Was that ACL or arthroscopic?
No, it's an arthroscopy. I think that there was the cartilage that needs to be repaired. I'm not sure because until they went inside to have a look, even the specialist was not sure of what to find. They had an idea from the imaging, but they didn't have anything. So I'm waiting to hear as well. And we can be a little bit more within the privacy of health issues, but it's not ACL, no, not at all.